continuing our discussion of foreign policy and of the Middle East and of ISIS, we've seen Republican presidential candidates for 2016 use basically every bit of ideological gymnastics to somehow blame President Obama for the rise of ISIS or ISIL or Daesh, call them what you want. Reasonable people understand that ISIS was not created by President Obama, but rather surfaced, grew, flowered in the vacuum that resulted from George W. Bush's harebrained invasion of Iraq based on faulty intelligence presented to many people by Colin Powell, who knew that some of what he was presenting was not a very strong case. The former commander of U.S. Special Forces in Afghanistan and Iraq, his name's Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, he said something stunning in an interview with the German newspaper Der Spiegel. He said that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, was in custody in an American military prison in 2004 and was released because he was deemed harmless. Take a look at this quote from this interview. Quote from the Lieutenant General. "We were too dumb. We didn't understand who we had there at the moment. When 9/11 occurred, all the emotions took over, and our response was, where did those bastards come from? Let's go kill them. Let's go get them. Instead of asking why they attacked us, we asked where they came from. Then we strategically marked in the wrong direction." If it was revealed that a former Democratic president had a terror leader in a prison and released him, it would be hugely damaging. It would be 24/7 coverage on Fox, on Rush Limbaugh. It would be apoplexy and hysteria. It was Bush, though, the guy Republicans sort of pretend never existed to the extent they are faced with the reality that he was president at all. This would only be a bombshell in a country that cared about facts and the truth above all else. That's not really our country right now, is it?
Well, yeah, you could argue it hasn't been for some time, since, I guess, right before the war. This really isn't surprising to me. I mean, our intelligence was just so shoddy, and maybe it still is. You don't really know who you have. You don't know who you're dealing with, and maybe at the time he was harmless. Maybe at the time he might not have been a big shot at all. I don't think it's too difficult to rise through the ranks in an organization like ISIS or Al-Qaeda or what have you.
You're making a fair point, which is maybe there was really no specific reason to think that this guy was going to become the leader of ISIS. Fine, I grant you that. We indefinitely detain people for nothing, right? So, we still let this guy go. That's the incredible contrast that I'm seeing. And as far as the impact of this on right-wingers, you might as well tell right-wingers that George W. Bush spontaneously combusted and flew off to heaven, and it would have the same impact as saying Bush released the future leader of ISIS from prison. I think it is just at this point, you're not really going to make an impact because Obama is bad.
Yeah. It's an interesting way to look at it. Now, what I think is interesting about this guy is if he was not released, maybe there'd be a different leader of ISIS.
Probably.
Maybe this is the guy who messes up and eventually creates some type of situation in which, gives us an edge, or he messes up and it's the beginning of ISIS's downfall.
So maybe we'll be better off that it's this guy who's in charge of ISIS than someone much smarter. I mean, Lewis really digging deep here to find the silver lining.
Yeah. Well, not much of a silver lining, but yes, certainly we imprison American citizens for years who have no connections to terrorism at all. And then we have this guy, and off you go, harmless.